You, sir.
Yellow, yellow, yellow. Hello,
Where's
everyone.
where's
My hat?
we got to get a Nino Damas hat, man.
Let me see, man. Let me get. I got this thing. Maybe this will
Oh,
work.
there you go. There
There
it
you
is.
go, buddy. There you go. So Peruvian Chuyo right there. Huh?
Yeah, man. So we have been teased the premiere of Nino Damas this morning on the morning show.
Yes, sir. I usually do this. When I'm doing the games, I throw my Nino Damas prediction for the game. Right. That's something that I feel is going to happen, and as they're doing the broadcast, this is the Nino Damas prediction of the minute 17 or something, and I throw something out there, and I'm pretty good at it, man. I'm getting my predictions pretty straight, man.
Okay, so we will have Nino Damas as a part of our discussion here this morning.
Yes,
Uh,
sir.
but I want to go back because CONMEBOL has been somewhat hot and heavy and fast and furious. And I don't know, but if you've heard about this dude named Messi, but and Argentina lights up their opposition, and it's another hat trick and all these kinds of things. Argentina. When is Argentina not going to be Argentina? Is this just a machine that the rest of us are kind of sitting here and going, yeah, all right, we're going to wait for the wheels to fly off of this thing, and it's never going to happen? When does Argentina turn mortal, do you think?
Well, that has to do with my prediction. So, and then
Oh,
we want to save that. We're gonna save that episode of the CONMEBOL qualifiers. I'm gonna save that for Argentina last on this, right? But we can start. Actually, we can start with with our trip to Brazil, man.
okay.
We on trip to Brazil, Peru versus Brazil, going to the capital of these giants. We've been trashing Brazil in the last I don't know how many months, saying that they're not the same Brazil. They're not spectacular anymore. They're not respecting Ginga. They're not respecting Ronaldo Nazario, Ronnie, and everyone else, Socrates. You can name it. You know what? I'm pretty sure that someone of the Brazilian team has been listening to us, man.
Uh-huh.
I'm telling you, because they got mad. They got mad and they put four now. They could have been five, could have been six, and they dropped 4 goals on Peru. But the first 45 minutes, of course, we were holding on, right? We only got one striker. We played 5-4-1, low block. Putting the match Patrick stones around the edges, making sure that they don't climb it. But then the penalty came in, and it was a different game from there. It was a
Oh.
different game from there. One penalty, got two penalties, and nothing against the calls. All right, of course, in Peruvian media, Peruvian fans were saying, "Oh, the referees. This is Brazil. Oh, they're the owners of CONMEBOL. Why they call us two penalties? Because they were penalties. Because one was a foul and the other was a clear handball. That's it. That's it. I mean, don't focus on the small details. The truth of the matter here is that we were going to lose this game. We were going to lose this game. We just didn't know how much, for how much. Okay. We were expecting, of course, in our hearts to be 2-0, 2-1, right? Because Brazil hasn't been that powerful. But then I saw the substitutions, right? Substitutions coming in, and Luis Enrique entered the pitch, and it was insane because they were going like 85 miles an hour, but this dude enters the pitch, and they went to 95, 100 miles an hour. We couldn't catch him. We just couldn't catch him. You have a Ferrari, I have a freaking Toyota Corona. All right. And it's not going to happen. I'm not going to catch it. I can't tune up as much as I can my car, but I can't compete. You are a Ferrari and we're not. That's the end of the story. That's hopefully people understand this. And there's people calling for the head coach. And I heard this from a journalist. I'm not from a fan, from a journalist saying that Fossati, the head coach for Peru, was incompatible with Peru. They got differences that he's not a good fit for Peru. You know what? I'm not going to say anything. I just how in the world can you come up with this, man? How in the world can you come up? Leave your fan on the side when you are on TV, when you are, talking to an audience. I mean, sometimes I don't leave my fan on, on the side. Sometimes
No,
right, but
no.
I mean, you got a responsibility. You got a responsibility, and you cannot say stuff like that because it's only a fan talking. I mean, you can just not be only a fan talking. You got to be a journalist. But anyway, it was a disaster in Brazil. But that was a loss that is on our books, right? You go to the schedule and you say, oh, we're gonna go to Brazil, we're not getting 3 points there. We're gonna go to Argentina, we're not getting 3 points there. And then Colombia, it also. Those are the three places that we won combined in all the history of Commonwealth qualifiers. Trips to Brazil, Argentina, and Colombia, we won only once. Only once in Colombia, 1997 World Cup qualifiers. Yep.
But you started the window, and I think that I'm wondering if this played into it too. You started the window on Friday,
Yeah.
winning your first match in
Forever.
the round, in the first
Yeah.
match in forever. Yeah, match number 9 was the first match that you win. Uruguay was a Peru was a plus 371. You were a plus 371 dog. You get a 1-0 win against Uruguay, and then you got to turn around. You play on Friday, then you play on Tuesday against Brazil. I mean, that you were going in to a buzzsaw anyway, man.
Absolutely. And then there's we recover a few players for this match for Tuesday, including Advíncula, the right back for Boca Juniors. But it takes a toll on you. It takes a toll on you because the effort that we put into on this game on Friday. Because on Friday, this was the deal, right? On Friday, we have to win or win. There was no question how you're gonna do it. Half nail, part 2-0. You gotta win that game, and we won. We beat Uruguay before. All right, so it's a different vibe. But when you go to Brazil, all right, there's 3 teams in CONMEBOL that can go to Brazil and put up against a fight. It's number 1 Argentina, number 1 Uruguay, and then the third one is Chile. All right, Chile always when they go to Brazil, they put up a fight. Everyone else,
Forget it.
they don't have a chance. No Colombia, nobody. Ecuador, nobody. Only those 3 teams in CONMEBOL. And so having to this short rest, and then we have Advíncula, which is for us probably the most valuable player in terms of transfer fees. But he's having an issue with his Achilles tendon. Okay, he's been nursing this injury for a while now. He was playing with Boca Juniors, then rest for 3 weeks. Then he came here, he didn't play on Friday because he went to take an MRI. And then all right, on Tuesday, okay, I'm ready. But when you saw him on the pitch, you can tell that the guy is not 100%.
Right.
And for a guy like him, he's all power. All right, he's all power. If he doesn't, he has to run and fly. But when you need your physique to impose your game, and you're not 100%, it takes a toll on you. It takes a toll on the team too. And he was a captain too, and everything else. But I wish him. I wish him the speed recovery. And but the problem is this injury that he's been nursing. You have to rest for a couple of months, and Boca Juniors just got a new coach.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. Just pray for Advíncula to be healthy until the end of the qualifiers. But if I were Advíncula, I would take a break for 6 weeks or so, and then we'll see. But I don't know. I don't think he's going to take that break because because of his current situation with the club right now.
Yeah. Colombia at a minus 301 beat Chile 4-0. Paraguay at a minus 127 knocked off Venezuela. Vamos Venezuela 2-1. Uruguay and Ecuador was a draw at a plus 2.25. Goalless draw there. I think both of those guys, they were just like, yeah, tell you what, let's just try and get out of here, and we'll get out of here. Then Argentina at a minus 1587. That's what you had to do to get $100 out of the deal, is put 1587 into the pot.
Yeah, there was a journalist in Argentina. She predicted the whole thing. 6-0.
What?
He said it's gonna be 6-0. I'm gonna send it to you, man. I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna send it to you.
Okay.
She said it's gonna be 6-0. Messi's gonna score a hat trick, and he missed it. Only one goal scorer. Only one goal scorer. He missed it. She missed it. It was fun. Man. I'm gonna send that TikTok to you, man. You gotta watch it.
So then that means your standings after 10. And remember, we're just past the halfway point here. I mean, you got a while to get all this squared away. But 10 out of 18 matches played. Argentina 3 points clear, and they have scored 19 in 10 matches. They've only given up 5. They're at 22 points. Colombia is second at 19 points. Uruguay is third at 16. They're ahead of Brazil by only 1 goal in goal difference, 7-6. Brazil has 1 more matches. They're at 16 points, but they're behind in goal difference. Ecuador is fifth at 13 points, and they are ahead of Paraguay on goal difference. Bolivia, who has an insane goals against. They've given up 21 goals in 12 matches. They've only scored 11. So they're at a minus 10 in goal difference. Right now, they're in that play-in spot right now in 7th. Then Venezuela has closed ranks right now. They're at 11 points in 8th. You and your Peruvians with your win, you're at 6 points, 1, 3, and 6. And Chile is now dead blank and last at 1, 2, and 7 with 5 points here at this particular gap. And you've got another month to figure it all out before we.
Now, when you throw all those numbers, there's one team that stands out dramatically in these qualifiers, and that's Paraguay. Paraguay is undefeated since they came back from the Copa America. Mm-hmm. They hired Gustavo Alfaro, and Alfaro was like, all right, we're gonna turn this boat around. 8 points, 8 out of 12. 8 out of 12. All right, including beating Brazil, including a victory over Brazil. I came back victory over Venezuela, and they're on the race now. They are on the race now. Okay, and everybody can, because Alfaro is a talker, right? He's a sweet talker, right? He's the one that captivates the audiences and saying nice things and sweet things, and it's the motivator. It's working. That's what that team needed. They're so talented. They're so talented. You got 4 or 5 guys playing in the Premier League, brother. We don't have a single one playing in the 2nd division of England, man. Okay? These guys got talent. They just needed to work it out. They just needed somebody who can work the group. And now they're number 6. They're number 6. They didn't lose a single game on these 2 rounds, man. And that complicates our chances. Complicates our chances significantly, because we were supposed to be in this 4-team race at the bottom, and now it's actually a 2-team race. Well, Venezuela's out. It's Peru and Chile, but we go against Chile next. So that's our game. Basically, we have to win our next 4 home matches, and we'll see what we can do on the other ones. But it's rough, because we have 2 trips to places that are Colombia and Argentina. I don't think we're going to win in any of those 2. But including those 2 losses, there is a chance. Okay, there's a chance. But we must win the remaining 4 home games. That's 12 points, right? It's makes us to 18, and we need a couple of we need a couple more draws to be in that 7th place.
I legitimately could see. I mean, because you've got Chile on Friday, November 15th.
Mm-hmm.
That one you got to have.
And then we go to Argentina.
Right, that's what I'm saying, and that adds that much more. Is that you got to have the matchup on Friday, November 15th against Chile. You got to have that one because you're going to Argentina.
Yeah, if we don't get 3 points, it's over. I don't care that there's freaking after that 7 games left. We're not going. We're not going. If we don't beat Chile in Lima, we're not going. That's why we pray on Gareca to help us out a little bit, because and we know his heart is Peruvian.
I mean, that is just you got to have it, man. I mean, that gets you to 9 through the end of this window, and that gets you that much closer to be a part of that discussion in that play-in, because then at that point, provided Bolivia does nothing, you're at the very least within shouting distance. You keep getting a win, you keep getting a win, you keep getting a win. You keep pushing to that play-in spot at number 7, maybe a chance to get to number 6. But that's the thing, is like you got to get those points against Chile at home. You have to, because
mandatory.
Argentina. I mean, legitimately, I could see later in the competition when you're on the road and you're getting close and you just need points that you probably could have just some of the most boring kickabouts ever known to mankind, where you're defending for 90 minutes and you're just launching the ball long, and it's like it's got cooties. You take it. I don't want nothing to do with it. Y'all do all the work, and then we get out of there with a point. I could see some of that happening later.
Yeah, and when as tough as it looks to go to Buenos Aires, historically we always been a tough challenge for Argentina when we go there or when we play here. It's we always make fantastic games against Argentina. So if we can get a point, because this is the thing, right? Even though Argentina is the best team in the not only in CONMEBOL but in the planet, all right, best national team in the planet. There is this vibe that when we go to Brazil, we look at Brazil from the bottom, but when we go to Buenos Aires, we're looking at Argentina. We might not knock you out, but we're gonna go all 15 rounds with you. Okay, all 15 rounds, we're gonna go with you. I'm gonna stay up for all those 15 rounds. You're gonna beat us by points or not. But that's the attitude that we have when we go to Buenos Aires. It's completely different when we go to Brazil, because for some reason we look at Brazil as the almighty Brazil all the time. It doesn't matter that they're not superstars anymore. Well, they are.
Yeah, but still,
we're still not convincing, right?
Yeah,
still something that's not adding up. But you still have your entire squad playing in Europe in top teams and being in the best teams on the planet. Something that we don't have. So it is what it is, man.
Okay, so we're going to hold Nino Damas for a second. The other thing that you mentioned here, and you had a sunglasses wearing emoji. It says another edition of When Nino Goes Wild in Press Conferences, the Warzika file.
Yeah.
Then you have the sunglass wearing emoji with dude grinning. What in the wide world of sports is this all about?
Just one of my episodes on press conference at the Columbus Crew.
Yeah,
it's a big rider for the crew, and I remember the coach Bobby Warcia. He put his son on the first team, right? Remember that he put his son on the first team, and let's say that he wasn't that talented. Okay, let's put it that way. That's the truth of the matter. All right. So there was one game, I forgot what was the game, right? And he put his son on the pitch, right, as a starter. Right, the game goes on. The team wasn't playing right, and then he needed to make some substitutions. So everything was calling for take your son out of the pitch, right? The game was not us. I mean, but the game was saying The thing was insane that the game was screaming, "Take this kid out of the pitch! Take this kid out of the pitch!" He didn't do it. He didn't do it. So he replaced. I think he replaced Oduro or something. So we went to a press conference that he was going all the explanation, this and that, and the wingers and la. All right. So I just got a question here. Why do you take Oduro out of the pitch, right? Because I wanted to tell me the reasons. Like, and he said, yeah, because we want to do this and that, and right. But he was not the one that you needed to take out.
Yeah.
Right?
So what you did is you wanted to sit there and you're asking a question in a roundabout way to get the answer that you were looking for by going, so why did you go this way when really you wanted to ask the reverse?
Right.
Okay.
And then he came up with that, and it's like, right, but on the pitch, and they let him. Your son was the one who was having the lowest performance on the pitch. Why you didn't take him out and you took Oduro? And he was like, oh, and this and that, and he was just mumbling, and like all the journalists were looking at me. Why you do that, man? It's like, because it's right. Because don't tell me this. Don't tell me. Of course, I said that afterwards, right?
Yeah.
But it was fun to see his face going like, my God, man. And it was fun, man. He didn't like me from that point on. Every time I was at the press conference, he was like, "Oh, this guy again. What are you gonna ask me now, man?" And,
well, you ain't suffering no fools now. It's like you want to get to the bottom of the matter, but you're not going to ask him bluntly. It's like, bruh, what's this with you and your kid? You're going to go the other way, and it's like, and try to get him to answer why the negative happened as opposed to trying to reinforce the positive. You're trying to come in a different way. You're coming in through the garage door to ask.
Yes.
Oh, I know.
Sneaking in. It was fun, man.
I know you're sneaking in through the kitchen to try to come up with an answer and make sure that the cake on the table is there for you, and you're the first person to grab the cake and run. All right, time to bust out Nino Damas. Now, there we go. Now, because I figured you were busting out a good sweat, man, wearing that thing early here in the second.
Yeah, there you go.
So Nino Damas is going to predict the 2026 World Cup champion.
Yes, sir.
So let me see if I can come up with some kind of a good intro here. Oh, almighty and powerful Nino Damas, we come to the soccer altar knowing that there is going to be a competition of world proportions coming to this hemisphere in short order. In just under 2 years, the world is coming to North America. Nino Damas shall be watching from afar, or perhaps watching in person, watching close up. But Nino Damas has seen into the future. Nino Damas has already been analyzing what is happening. We do not have this kind of great time machine into the future that Nino Damas has. We do not have the same vision. We do not have the same equipment. We do not have the same forethought that Nino Damas has when it comes to the future of the sport. We can only bring Nino Damas out on occasions. We do not wish to have Nino Damas come out every single time because we do not want to have his talents wasted. We want to have his energy focused on certain events and certain moments that make sure that the world is of one. And we bow and we listen to Nino Damas as only we do on these rare instances when Nino Damas comes and visits, because we wish to have that knowledge spread upon us like no other. So as Nino Damas has already looked into the future 22 months away from now, and is staring at the 2026 World Cup, where the world comes and unites as one, a 48-team tournament larger than anything we've ever seen before. More information that Nino Damas has had to place into his brain and sift through and take the Nino Damas computer that is between his ears, take the information, smash it together as one, and come through with the answers. So our research ends nigh. Nino Damas has already analyzed the 2026 competition of competitions. Please build your case, Nino Damas, and give us the information of your analysis. Who is going to be the champion, the campeón de campeones on this and every other planet in the solar system come 2026?
So I'm going to tell you this, John. So you've been to Miami, right? You've been to Miami Beach?
I have on occasion,
Right.
yes. I have.
Right. You know, there's Collins Avenue, right? It goes all the way through the coast of Miami, right? And I can see this a parade in Collins Avenue going with Lionel Messi carrying his second consecutive World Cup and to say goodbye in outstanding fashion in Miami with the World Cup winning with Argentina for a second consecutive time. This is something that hasn't been done since 1958, 1962. Brazil winning back-to-back world champions. Nobody has done it. But after what I saw in this game against Bolivia, are you serious? Are you getting up with this conclusion after Argentina beating Bolivia? Yes. I'm not going to tell you the reason why. I'm going to tell you why.
Yes, Nostradamus. Nino Damas, please give this information. Why?
Because even though Messi's going to be 39 in 2026, right? Yeah. But no, he's going to be still 38 because he's 39. Yes, 39. He was going to be 39 in the next World Cup. I don't see any other athlete in the planet with his fitness carried that way. Of course, then many people are going to say, Cristiano Ronaldo, la, la, la. No. I'm not talking about Cristiano here. I'm talking about here Messi saying that when they're asking him, right, hey, how do you feel about the 2026 World Cup? Well, we'll see how it goes, la, la. But then Scaloni is refreshing this 11, this court of players that are playing around Lionel Messi. And the way that they're nurturing, the way that they're fostering, the way that they're carrying their superstar, it tells me that every single ballot goes for Argentina in the next World Cup. And if you were asking me maybe a few months ago, right, it's 2 years away, the World Cup. And now it's not even 2 years away. This is what, 18 months or so. And that level of fitness, I haven't seen Lionel Messi playing that free, that loose with this Argentina, because now he has nothing to fear. Now there's no, you know what, when he was going into a 22 World Cup, there was a mission, right? There was a mission. If I don't win this one, I don't win ever. But now 2 Copa Americas, 1 World Cup, and this is just to prevail his legacy for the years and decades, some centuries to come, when they win the World Cup in 2026. And one more thing. In the previous World Cup, 2022, in June, after they won the Finalissima versus Italy, I also predicted that Argentina was going to win the World Cup in 2022. And then, no, you're talking about this. Boom. Who won? Argentina. Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Nino Damas has blessed us with the information 22, 21 months ahead of time. He has seen into the future. He has looked into his soccer ball presented by Select, or whichever manufacturer he wishes to look into. The answer comes from the knit lid that is on Nino Damas's dome. As he looks into the future and sees how the octagons rotate from black to white, from white to black in a spherical nature, coming together as one, 21 months ahead of time, as he stares into the future, and the future is round and only of 2 colors. The albiceleste are those 2 colors.
That's it.
As you see forward. We have marked the tape, Nino Damas. We have laid it all out there. And from this moment forward, Nino Damas's journal will reflect on 17 October 2024 that he has called Argentina to win in 2026, to have the parade here in this hemisphere. More than one parade, I imagine.
Oh, yeah.
Nino Damas has spoken. Spoken hath Nino Damas. Dominus omnis. Let it be said. Now let it be done. We are truly blessed to have Nino Damas as a part of our discussions with Nino Torres every single week. What's it looking like for you this weekend, my friend? What's the call now that we're back into league play and our friends at Goal TV?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. We got the Peruvian League is back. The Portuguese League is back. No, Portuguese League is back next weekend, not this one, the next one. I don't know why. I do know why, because
It all blends together, brother. That's how this goes.
They got the the Portuguese Cup going on this weekend, so they have not 1 but 2 weeks off in the Primera Liga in Portugal. But tomorrow we have the Peruvian League, man. It's been a while since I called a game from my Peruvian League. And we're calling Sport Boys tomorrow. I'm not calling my Universidad de Deportes on Saturday, but I'm going to talk to the producers because the last game of the season is mine. You don't give it to anyone else. You give it to me. Mm-hmm. You give it to me, baby. Because, yeah.
I meant to ask before we let you go. Ruben Amorim is the name that is being linked to take over for Pep Guardiola whenever Pep decides to hang it up at Manchester City. What did you think about that? Because with the sporting director is going over to take over for Ashiki Begiristain, you're getting that period of blending where you can learn the Manchester City way. And now Ruben Amorim is the first name that's being mentioned to be in place once Pep decides to hang it up, whenever that is, say in the year 2037 or something.
I don't see Ruben going to City, man.
Okay.
I don't. Maybe I don't see Amorim going into that stage. I think he's a fantastic coach. I think he's a revolutionary in Portugal. But he like we were mentioning Ferraris before, right?
Yeah.
He has never drove a Ferrari before.
Okay.
All right, and I don't think this will be the right step for him to go straight up to the City. I would rather go with him in a, I don't know. Jesus, Tottenham maybe.
Okay.
Tottenham maybe I will relate Ruben to Tottenham and then making the leap to United or City, but I don't think he's gonna go in that direction. I think he needs another chapter on his career before he takes over a team like that. That's my my POV on this one, man.
All right. So before you go, it's that time for the handoff, and I want to take Nino Damas's prediction, and I want to bring it full circle because we are now joined by our buddy Nico Moreno, and we get to run a fancy open because that's what we have. We have a fancy open for Nico. We run the fancy open. We bring Nino Damas in, and I want to get his thoughts on what Nino Damas said about 2026 as the handoff this morning, one heading to the other. So fancy open. Here we go. Nico is now with us, and it is that time for the handoff where we are going from one coast to the other coast to Peru and all points in between. Nico, we got a visit from Nino Damas this morning, the truth seeker and soothsayer of the future.
Oh, I like it.
Yeah, and so he has laid upon us, with 21 months to spare, the winner in the world competition that is coming to this hemisphere in 2026. And after much thought and analysis and having the wool on top of the dome, he has said, Nino Damas, so let it be said, so let it be done in some circles, Damas almost to us all, that the Albiceleste will have a parade in Fort Lauderdale and or Miami and or Buenos Aires, and it will be back-to-back Argentina in 2026 with a 39-year-old Lionel Messi going out like no man has gone out in 60-plus years. What say you to what Nino Damas brought to the table this morning?
Wow, I'd say Nino Damas must have that very powerful crystal ball, or look into the future, because that's deep. Having a prediction all the way to 2026 might be tough. I think it's a good shout. I mean, you've seen what Argentina has been doing in CONMEBOL as of recent. And I'm not just talking about the 6-0 over Bolivia, but I'm just saying overall, the quality, the balanced roster that they have, a guy like Scaloni that just seems to do no wrong when it comes to both call-ups and management of that specific group. So yeah, it's a good shout. I'd say that not like I'm not going to say that England is going to be one of the teams that's going to go out there and get anything. But there are other teams that I'm waiting to see what happens with some managerial changes, with some new players that could eventually be revelations of that 2026 World Cup. So I think that there are some teams that I still want to wait up and look. But I think Argentina right now is definitely the best team in the world.
No doubt about it. All right. As always, Nino, it is fantastic to see both you and Nino Damas dropping by on Thursdays. Please stay warm. May the dome stay warm. May the information continue to come to Nino Damas in all forms. Damnus Omnis to Nino Damas, and Damnus Omnis to us all. Thank you, my friend. Love you very much, and we will see you next week.
Well, see you guys. See you, Nico. See you, John. Take care, guys.
All right, there goes Nino. Nino's going to become properly hydrated, and it was Nino Damas. He put up he took a little bit of what happened in the past window, but I think Nino Damas is going for the storybook ending, where Lionel Messi at the age of 39, who's feeling younger, the guys there are keeping him young. He's having fun. He's keeping it loose, keeping it light, and so I think Nino Damas is looking for the storybook ending. I wouldn't put it past him, but
No.
Nino,
and look, I give a shout to England because I know that they seem to be there and they never do it, as it just happened to them in the Euros, but in the UEFA. But I just think with Tuchel as the manager, and a team that has progressively gotten better and better, I think they're going to have something to say in 2026. I think that there are a couple of teams that could be tough to play against. I want to see Colombia do well in that one. I think 2026 is going to be a really, really good World Cup to watch.
All right, so with Tommy Tuchel for school now in charge in England, you've got Tuchel in England, you've got Pochettino in the United States, and we talked about in hour number one, Tim Howard's comments about saying that Christian Pulisic needed to stay and not go back to his team, not go back to league play and go back to Serie A, but he needed to stay with his team for that second match, even though he wasn't playing in it. He had to stay, and the USA has to sit there and go, hey, Milan, this is how it's going to be. We need to keep our guy. And I'm paraphrasing. It was there wasn't necessarily a whole lot of finger pointing, I wouldn't think, but he was verbally finger pointing that the United States and U.S. soccer needs to go to these big clubs and go, this is how it's going to be. They're going to stay here, and they're going to just, even if they're going to hang around, they're going to stay and not report to you until the window is done. I raised the people's eyebrow to that one. I'm like, that's not how you play in the sandbox these days.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I wanted to say. I mean, look, Pochettino's doing the right thing by getting himself slowly integrated into the group, and he's not going to come in there and just put players in situations that they don't have to be in. He understands what players are playing for at the club level. He understands that 80% of their development is due to league play and club play and their positions, the amount of time, minutes that they get with their clubs. So it's a big deal. And I feel like the overreaction has been massive with this whole Mexico-U.S. loss, and where's Weston and where's Pulisic and what happened to Ricardo Pepi. Look, there's only so much of, and we talked about this, there's only so much you can do as a national team head coach when it comes to the tactics, the soccer module, the ideology, the concepts, all of these things. That takes time. Do you think that Pulisic or Weston or anybody was going to get so much more out of staying with this team a couple of days, other than maybe just the group, the camaraderie? No, you really don't. Let's take it easy. We're just getting started. Pochettino's doing the right thing by making sure that the group component, that the relationships with the players are where they need to be. Everything else will come in time. What is he doing now? What did he need to do? He needed to see not the Pulisic, not the Ricardo Pepes, the player that he needs to watch, that he needs to see, that he hasn't been able to work with. Pochettino saw a whole bunch of tape. I guarantee you that. A lot of tape. And most of that tape had all the stars. The stars that are going to be there. I would be more focused on some of the things that Pochettino did with certain players, like Scally playing the back of a three-man back line, like Musa playing out as a right back, like making sure that there's certain players that maybe I saw something in that I can manufacture and I could harness at other positions. Those are the things that Pochettino wanted to do. And if you're not going to experiment in a friendly, in an exhibition, in a warm-up game, in a tune-up game, where are you going to experiment? In the Leagues Cup, in the World Cup? I mean, where are you going to do that? I mean, Nations League. I'm sorry. Where are you going to be? When are you going to be able to experiment? No other tournament. So I think that the overreaction is way too high. He did what he had to do against Panama, got a good positive first win. In the second game, I let go of all my stars, and then I go ahead and go up to Mexico and play with my B team. And I got to figure out what certain players do or didn't do, like Sargent's case. He needed to make sure to see certain players play 90 minutes, 90 plus, 60 minutes, and he did that.
So you're saying that the sky isn't falling? You mean that after one window and two matches where you had load management and a couple of knocks where a couple of your big guns weren't there and you lose to Mexico in the Guardado send-off match, that the sky isn't falling? What?
Absolutely. And I'm saying that anyone who, and respectfully, of course, said that is an abomination and disrespectful that Pulisic and these guys who are in there are absolutely just overreacting and off their meds. I mean, really, let's just take a breather. Let's understand this is a long process. And there's no need for that to happen. Actually, if you think about it, this is the right way to do it, is you go from the outside in and figure out the guys that are in the outside of that bubble of the U.S. pool are, and then you focus on those who are in, who you know will be in.
You mean that we have to look at your depth and figure out who those dudes are that can contribute, and not the stars that you anticipate will be there anyway? Well, you want to fill in a roster from the bottom up? What is the matter with you?
Craziness.
Damn. All right, so let's go ahead and shift it to decision day before we play a little cliffhanger, because then cliffhanger has a direct result in what you think is going to happen on decision day. Then we've been talking about it all season, where traditionally the West is the one that's chaotic top to bottom on decision day, and the East is the one that's locked in place. This year, it's the reverse. The East is the one that has its bouts of chaos, and it's got its couple of groups. You know, it's almost like the Tour de France, where you got the dude that's going to get the yellow jersey. You know who that's going to be. You know who's going to finish second. Then you've got the chase pack. You got that first chase pack, and then you've got the peloton, the big group that's chasing after that one thing. In the East, it's 4 teams, 1 win, 3 points, 2 spots, plus positioning up above. And the West is the one that's all calm about all this. What is going on with this planet that we live in, man?
I just think that, in all honesty, and just by looking at it, it seemed like the East was just more entertaining. There was a lot more um, challenges. There were the level just seemed a little bit higher in the East, in my opinion. The tougher teams, the teams that had a lot of changes, the West just was a little bit blah. I mean, it was a little bit bleak. I mean, you outside of the first five teams, everybody else was extremely inconsistent. They were almost uh, in a dire need for help. And I understand that we have New England on the east side, but teams like Austin that were a mess all season, teams like San Jose that seem to just be going through the motions of every single game. When you have all of those teams that have been up in Minnesota was a mess. Finally, they figure it out at the end of the season. But I mean, there was so much inconsistency in the West that I feel like in the East it was just a little bit more competitive, and I think you're seeing that here to just close it all out with Montreal, with DC United, with Atlanta. And you know you got all these teams that are still in the works. Nashville, I don't know where, not anymore, but there was a point in time where you're like, can Callahan do it? So it's just some of those things that I think have made the East interesting, and I'm excited for it, man. I think DC United against Montreal is going to be one. I mean, DC United against Charlotte is going to be an interesting game. I think that Montreal also will have everything on the line, and we'll see what they can do. I don't think that they'll end up going through. Atlanta has a difficult game against Orlando, so I just think that the East in general, to me, had a little bit more quality on the field than the West did. If we go overall, every single team in that conference.
East has Messi and friends. They're number one. They're chasing after records. So my guess is that their 18 will be flipped. You'll have the Gulfstream Galacticos on the bench. You need to close something out late. You'll substitute them in. And we've seen what Tata Martino has been able to do with the roster that he and Chris Henderson have assembled, that it's to the point to where there's a lot of trust in those guys that are 12 through 30, and you're seeing what's happening with them. So they're untouched. Columbus, they're going to be the number 2. Cincinnati, they're going to be the number 3. Then this is where the fun begins. Orlando could be a lockdown 4 if they win, but they've got NYC breathing down their neck. NYC is a favorite on the road at CF Montreal. So Orlando, if there is going to be a point that Orlando needs more than a point, then they get it on goal difference, because then if there's any kind of a draw, New York City wins, they're both at 15, 11, and 8. Orlando, in theory, would have a better goal difference. Charlotte, if they win, could jump NYC if NYC loses on the road in Montreal. Red Bulls, if they win, could be as high as 5 if things fall down in front of them. Charlotte could be 5 if they win and NYCFC doesn't. Then you get into the math, but Red Bulls, they don't have as many wins as Charlotte and NYC, so any kind of a tiebreaker involving them, that's where that falls down. You're 4, the 5, the 6, and the 7. Then we mentioned DC, Montreal, and then you end up with Philly and Atlanta. Once again, 4 teams, 2 spots, 2 at 40, 2 at 37, and there will be math and a test later on. In the West, LAFC took care of business last weekend. They got the win against Vancouver to get them back to 33 matches. LAFC needs a win. LAG needs a point, basically, to secure the top. Seattle and Salt Lake, they're beating the ish out of each other, because right now Salt Lake's got 1 less win, same amount of points. So Seattle has to better a result from RSL to be the 3, if my math is correct. Then 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 could be chaotic. Dynamo could lock themselves in at the 5 with bettering a result from Colorado. 51-50, 49. I feel like a Van Hagar album. 51-50, 49 with Minnesota. Then Vancouver at 47. Vancouver could have made things a little bit more interesting if they had gotten a result against LAFC, but they were 5 men down because of international duty. Portland's at 46. Everybody else is gone. So now we bring in Cliffhanger. And this will then, where the math is concerned, if there's a game that you want to talk about, then this is where we yell stop and we talk about it. NYC, they are a road favorite at CF Montreal at a plus 133. Tough place to play. They're a road favorite. trying to solidify their place. Fire in Nashville, who cares? Chicago Fire's even money plus 100. DC and Charlotte, you mentioned that one.
Mm-hmm.
DC's a minus 115 at home. Charlotte is a plus 254 with Christian Kalina in net. Your draw is a plus 308.
Yeah, man. That 308 draw sounds pretty interesting, and I like it. I think those are numbers that I would like to get into. But I have a gut feeling that DC United is going to pull it off, and regardless of playing against the best goalkeeper, my vote for goalkeeper of the year in Kalina, and a Charlotte team that has actually figured it out even up top, and they've been able to do a lot of things right. I think that DC United is going to pull it off. Whenever DC United has send a lot of guys forward, I think Benteke has a lot to play for. When it comes to obviously that Golden Boot, his team, I mean, in another era, he'd be MVP candidate for everything he's done for DC United. But I like the midfield. I really like how Herrera has played all season, the way he pushes on the right side. I think that there's a lot of movements on the attacking end that can fluster Charlotte and their well-disciplined defensive tactics. So I'm going to go ahead and take DC United. I do think that it's going to be a low-scoring game. So maybe a 1-0, a 2-1 at best. But I do think it's going to be a low-scoring game for DC United. On the other side, when it comes to Montreal, that seems to be a game that I'm not so sure if Montreal has enough to beat New York City FC. Yeah. New York City is needed. They have been inconsistent. They've looked like they can, beat teams like Miami at times, and then they go ahead and completely have duds of a game. But I think Santiago Rodriguez, Alonso, that attacking end, and the midfield that's starting to look like the midfield of an experienced, balanced team. I would say that New York City FC takes that one as well.
Messi and friends are a minus 278 hosting the Revs, who are north of plus 580. Red Bulls home favorite in a game that means nothing for Crew at a plus 133. Crew are a plus 172. Philadelphia at home, favored against Cincinnati. Once again, Cincinnati game doesn't mean anything to Cincinnati at all because Cincinnati is at 56 points. They can't touch Columbus. Orlando can't touch them. So what will Cincinnati's lineup look like? We don't know. Cincinnati, a big road dog at a plus 276. Philadelphia at home a minus 127, which leaves us with the purple team hosting Atlanta United at a minus 139. Atlanta United is a plus 290. Your draw is a plus 343. Atlanta United's got to have it. Nico, what do you think?
I want to see the goals on that. That is probably the only thing that I would touch because I do think Orlando will take it. I think Atlanta, Atlanta just has been tough to watch at times. And as much as the new acquisitions have given them some life, and I think that eventually next year when there's a full roster and you're using all of your resources to put that team together, I think it's going to be a very good team. But I feel like Orlando is in great form. I think that there's such a gambit of offensive players that are spot on when they need to be. I think Facundo Torres is having one of the better close seasons, the closing part of the season. If we compartmentalized what he's done in other seasons, this end part of it has been really, really good. I think Papi's figured out Oscar Pereira. I think he's really got it going on over there, making everybody available. You see when Luis Muriel goes in, Luis Muriel that you thought that was going to be absolute bust. I think Oscar Pereira has done perfectly what he does best, is hitting the individual, getting him to understand this is what you got to do better. He's changed his training regimen. He's looked better. He's played almost like a 10 for this team because he knows that Ramiro Enrique and Duncan Maguire are ahead of him in the striker component. So Muriel's been doing a little bit of everything. Sometimes he drops, sometimes he gets really wide. He's been a distributor. He's been really good coming off the bench. So I think Orlando just has too much power on the attacking end for Atlanta.
3.5 over is a plus 110, and that's where it flips. Four and a half is a plus 246. That sounds like you don't need to touch it.
No, that's a little too rich for my blood. Especially lately when I've been getting a little bit too greedy on some of these. So yeah, I wouldn't touch it either way. I don't think there's enough good numbers for me to grab onto it, but I do think Orlando will get the best out of Atlanta in this one.
Okay, Western Conference, and now let's roll through juice boxes here. Austin and Colorado. Colorado is a road dog at a plus 173. Austin's a plus 123. FCD and Sporting. FC Dallas favored at a minus 125. Sporting a plus 286. Houston at home hosting LAG. LAG is a plus 217 on the road. Yeah. Plus 287 to draw. LAG needs a point to distance themselves away from LAFC. LAG to win on the road at Houston, a plus 217. Houston Dynamo, a plus 104.
That's my lock of the day. And let me see the goals on that. But that is my lock of the day. LAG over Houston. Houston has been good. They have been difficult. They do play that Benny ball that has gotten them to where they are. But can they keep up with this team? Can Dorsey stay back enough to not allow Pencil to get behind him when he loves to get forward? I don't think so. Can this midfield hold Ricky Puig? I don't think so either. Can anybody do anything to hold up Gabriel Peck and how dominant he's been all season? I don't think so. I do think that LAG with this team, this roster, they take it, and I would do a 3.5 in this one. Easy for LAG.
Plus 106 is 3.5. So that's where it turns from a minus to a plus is 3.5. 4 is a plus 175 in the composite. 4.5 is a plus 237, but 3.5 is where it changes from minus to plus.
Man, that's a good one. I'm definitely taking that one. I will be going here later on today to set some. So definitely Brugman's back. That gives LAG such a better balance. You saw them be able to get guys on the same page, man, and that the depth of their bench. I mean, man, LAG is going to be a handful in the playoffs, and they're going to start off by taking this Houston game as a playoff game. It's just going to be the startup to what's ahead for this LAG squad.
LAFC, big favorite, minus 400 against the San Jose Earthquakes, who are north of plus 800. Loons are a minus 196 at home against All Caps. St. Louis City. City is a plus 426. RSL in Vancouver. RSL, which we know hasn't been the same, a minus 103 hosting Vancouver, who's a plus 219 on the road, draws a plus 318.
Ooh.
See?
Ooh, that's a good one. That is a good one. You know what? What's Real Salt Lake's numbers there again?
Minus 103. Slight minus to be favored at home.
No, that's tough. I'm going to go ahead and go with the draw on that one. I think that there's enough to go with a draw just to make that West Coast even more difficult to kind of get through. I think a draw on that one makes sense for me. Yeah.
Okay. Last one on the board is your Sounders, the game that you're going to be at, reporting on and blowing up. Seattle a minus 135 against Portland, who needs it. Portland's a plus 321. Draws basically a plus 300, but a minus 135 for Seattle hosting Portland. What do you think?
All right. Well, before that, I will say that St. Louis game looks to me like a big game that you could take St. Louis on. Look, I know Minnesota, and I heard that number. What was it? What plus what?
Ridiculous. Plus 426 for All Caps to win.
I will put some money on that, man. Look, that's that All Caps game between that they had against Houston. They really jumped on Houston, and it seems like the Germans have really put their things together. And I understand that they have nothing to play for, but jobs are to play for, and what you're kind of hoping to get here at the end of the season going into next season. To me, I don't know why that jumped right on in front of me, and I will be setting that up. So I will take All Caps, no goals, against Minnesota. I think whether it's a low scoring game or not, that's to be seen. But I do think St. Louis has enough to make Minnesota struggle, and I think that he could pull it off.
Yeah, Josh Yaro signs a contract extension, by the way, through 2025 with a team option for 26. That just came out a couple of minutes ago.
But all right, to the big rivalry, the big one, the game everybody's going to be watching. Seattle got the best out of Portland in Portland, but Portland has had Seattle's number at home for a very long time. We asked Brian Smetcher about it, and his reaction was, "You're going to remind me of this? You're really going to remind me that we haven't been able to beat Portland at home when we're in such a good streak?" Yes, Brian. Unfortunately, that was Jeremiah who asked the question. Jeremiah from Sounder Heart, and so there is a lot to be played for. There's pride. There's obviously Cascadia. There is a berth to CCC, CONCACAF Champions Cup, that is on the line. So there's a lot to be played for here for Seattle. So I think there's a lot of pressure. If I'm not mistaken, I had heard that Kamal Miller might not play this game. That's a big blow for Portland. But let's be honest. Portland is not worried about the defense. Portland is your typical Mexican boxer who's going to go out there and knock your head off. They're not worried about the defense. They're going to come at you. So because of that, I think it's going to be a really good game, man. And I'm struggling to just say that the Seattle Sounders will win because they are in such good rhythm. But I think Portland, they're kind of against the corner, and they have a lot of offensive weapons that could make Seattle very vulnerable. So give me those numbers again.
Numbers again, minus 135 for Seattle at home. Plus 301 on the draw. Portland to plus 321.
Plus 321. My goodness. Yeah, it's going to be a game. It's going to be a game, and I'm going to go ahead and go with the draw. I'm going to go with the draw. I'm going to go with the draw on this one, and I think that it'll be a good game. It could be a 1-1. It could be a 2-2 game, but I think that Seattle's going to be tested against a Portland team that's going to come in here with everything that they have. I think Seattle has done well. They have some guys that are international duty. They'll be coming back. Obed Vargas got about 10 minutes with the Mexico national team, which, props to him. He barely got to touch the ball really, but, he's going to be coming back. So we'll see how those players reintegrate to this team as quickly as they can and play against this Portland team. But I'm going to go ahead and go with a draw on that one.
Okay, one more thing before you get out of here and we put a bow on today. Earlier in the week, Johnny Infantino, today, I feel grunge, as we said on the show. He shows up in Seattle and announces that Lumen is going to be the host for the 3, as he takes his drink from his Rave Green mug. Going to be the home for the Sounders matches in the Club World Cup. So Johnny Infantino in town. He had the pictures taken. He had the scarf around him for World Cup 2026. Please, patent police, don't let us get in trouble for mentioning those words together as a group. Johnny Infantino came to town, first announcement for Club World Cup, and the Sounders get to stay at home.
Yeah, I mean, it was exciting. It was a great experience. I'm not going to lie to you. Whenever you see someone of the stature of Infantino around here, you get to ask him a couple of questions. He sounds like a really cool guy, by the way. I mean, I know that he's probably not, and there's a lot of things that surround that name in FIFA, to be quite honest. But you can tell why he is who he is, because he is as likable and charismatic as he gets, man. I mean, the way he talks, the way he handles questions. I mean, he's a politician. I mean, to be honest, I mean, to be where he's at, right? But I thought it was great to just see him enjoy the city. I like what he said about Lumen Field. He said that he felt like there was some soul in that stadium. He loved the way that the stadium was directly connected to the center of the city or the downtown area. Peter Tomasawa, who is the CEO for the Seattle Committee for the World Cup, mentioned that they had him at the top of the Toyota balcony in Seattle, right next to the city, and he was just taken back by that field, that connection between the city and the stadium. So it was great to see someone like Infantino that has seen, you know, stadiums around the world, and I'm sure he was probably also very nice to, you know, Adrian and everybody. He was always going to say something positive, but it was good to just see him being part of what we've experienced, and kind of put that in a global aspect. So yeah, 6 games in the World Cup, 6 games in the World Cup, 6 games in the Club World Cup. That's going to be huge for this city. We have seen how much involvement there's been from the city, from Sounders organization, to get the city right for those moments. So just overall, a huge moment for the community in Seattle, and I don't think that they're going to disappoint, at least in terms of experience and the city and everything in general with the stadium. We'll see what happens with the Sounders and how well they can perform in those moments. But I was just happy to see the excitement from everybody surrounding the organization about having those games and that amount of exposure globally.
No doubt about it. All right, cut the promo for me. What's going on with Pulso Sports in the soccer bar? Because you're going to be busy in about 45 minutes.
Yes, so if you want to hear what Infantino said about his experience here in Seattle, you could check that out at Pulso Sports. We have the whole thing. I did ask him about, are there any improvements that need to be made to the stadium, to the city, to things like that? He did not answer. I shouldn't have asked that question because I should have known better. He did talk about other things that are pretty cool. So go ahead and check that out. We also have Adrian Hanauer and Peter Tamasawa in the same channel, of course, talking about everything that happened with Infantino. And then here in Soccer Bar, we're going to be getting into the U.S. 2-0 loss against Mexico, the overreaction, what we like, what we didn't like. Is the ceiling falling? Is the sky falling? All of those things. We're going to talk a little bit about Mexico and the struggles that they've had, and how it kind of felt like Pochettino maybe left them a lose-lose situation. Because if there was a team in need of rescue and in need of a big game, was Mexico. And was a 2-0 win against a B squad of the United States really a big win? I don't think so. I think that if Pochettino would have put some more of those stars, it would have had more relevance as of a win. So I thought that Pochettino and the U.S. Federation were maybe giving Mexico less to work with, and regardless of the win, I think he did that. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Decision Day. So go ahead and check it out here in about 40 minutes.
What he said, as always, my friend, at El Rolo and W on the Twitters, at Sports Pulso, at the Soccer Bar. We will catch up with you next week, because next week we're through the 8-9s and we're into the playoffs. So we will have set the regular season aside, and the sprint continues in other forms. As always, my friend, great to see you. What cup of coffee are we on?
Number two here today. Had to rewatch that Mexico U.S. game this morning, just because we're going to get deep into it. So it's going to be interesting to talk about that.
No doubt. All right, be good, my friend. We'll catch up with you soon. Love you very much. We'll see you next week.
Thank you, my guy.
All right, that's Nico Moreno. And so that's the Power Hour with Nino and Nico. And that'll be posted on social media and when I can get it edited. All right. So tomorrow, Bart's going to join us at 9:05 to talk about what's going on with the men's national team, the sky falling, and the announcement that came out recently within the last, top of the hour. The October 2024 roster is out. Emma Hayes is having her press conference in about 20 minutes. USWNT October 2024 roster, and it is matches against Iceland on the 24th and the 27th, matchup against Argentina on October 30. 3 keepers, Jane Campbell, Casey Murphy, Alyssa Nair. Defenders, Fox, Gaetino, Girma, Kruger, Mace, Mallinson, Neiswanger, Sams, Sonnet. Midfielders, Albert, Coffey, Hal Hirschfeld getting a call-up, Haran, Lavelle, Moultrie, and Ashley Sanchez. Your forwards, Yasmin Ryan from Gotham, Emma Sears, Jaden Shaw, Sophia Smith, Mallory Swanson, Alyssa Thompson, Lynn Williams. So that's your October call-ups for camp. 3 matches once again. Iceland the 24th and the 27th, and Argentina on October 9:30. Once again, tomorrow. Bart's going to join us 9:05. We'll talk about that. We'll talk about what Emma Hayes said. We'll talk about what happened earlier in the week with the men's national team. Hopefully catch up with our friends at Beyond Goals at 9:30, unless they're traveling and conquering the planet for the Friday free kick. And then at 10 o'clock begins the weekend whip around, patent pending, trademark coming sooner, hopefully, rather than later, as we preview everything going on in Major League Soccer. Atlanta United taking on the Purple Team. 6:10 kick Saturday night. 6:10 kicks across all Eastern Conference games, 9:10 kicks against all Western Conference games. We'll talk about all that in hour number 2 tomorrow. We've got a couple of 1v1s that we're setting up. You'll hear about those a little later on today as well. They'll be posted to the network later today as well. And we will have other stuff going on as we go. As always, thanks for hanging out with us as you always do here on the morning show. Back at it again in a little less than 22. We'll talk about everything that's going on, getting you ready for decision day, get you ready for the final weekend of the regular season when it comes to Major League Soccer and everything else going on. So for everybody here at SDH, I'm just John. Thanks for dropping by. Back in a little less than 22. Play it safe, everybody. Mucha platial. And it's the end of the show. That means I get to do this. Back at it again, 9:05 tomorrow.